But Ohio State, Oregon is obviously the game of the weekend, 2 versus 3 at this point. Ryan Day, a guy who isn't normally known for winning the big games, traveling to Oregon. Oregon is a team, as a program, that is also not necessarily known for winning the big game. So I think it's fair to say that both of these head coaches need this. And it kind of does fundamentally change the Big Ten a little bit. But again, with the conference championship game, a lot of things are in play. But the winner of this game is kind of on a stepping stone ahead of everybody else. So this is kind of one of those weird games where it's like you just have two programs that like need it, and somebody's got to win it. So how do you feel about this game?
It's going to be interesting. I do think that it's that both teams have sort of been on a collision course to this week all year. I think that the schedule has probably allowed both teams to sort of like keep some things close to the vest, game plan wise. And I think you'll see them both pull out all the stops on Saturday. I just have to imagine though, man, being an Ohio State fan, like I said, and getting little brothered by Michigan the last several seasons, and it's like, okay, Michigan's, they lost everybody, they're obviously a little down, and now like Oregon joins the league, and it's like you can't beat them. It's like, damn it, that was Michigan. Now we can't beat Oregon, and I can't imagine how frustrating that would be. And I'm not saying that's going to happen. I don't have like a strong feeling one way or the other though, like truthfully, as far as how it's going to go. Obviously, playing in Eugene is going to be a challenge. But shit, man, Ohio State, they played in the whiteout conditions at Penn State and Happy Valley. They played in the big house. I mean, so hostile environments aren't anything that's like foreign to them by any means, but you're also traveling much further than you do in those games also into the Northwest, and it's just a different world up there, man. So I don't know. I don't know how to. I'm very curious. I'm going to try to watch that game because should be a great college football game, but I do think it's going to clear some things up as far as who really sits upon the top of the Big Ten.
I feel like Ohio State has more, what's the word I'm looking for? I think people expect more of them. There's more expectations because of how much money they spent on this football team. I think it's like $20 million.
Coaching staff.
Right. So,
I mean, Chip Kelly.
Yes. Which is an angle I hadn't even thought of, Chip Kelly returning to Oregon. So obviously he's very familiar with that program. So there's a lot of intrigue in this game. But Ryan Day has no excuses now. And I think that he has been allowed to continue to move on despite these losses to Michigan. I don't want to say Michigan's a foregone conclusion this year, but I think of all the last few years, this is a year that we kind of should expect Ohio State to beat Michigan because the talent disparity is really large. And so where else do you now look for, is Ohio State ready for the biggest of times? And this is the kind of game. And if Ryan Day comes up short here, with all the money that they have spent, all of the changes that they have made, that in a lot of people's eyes say this is win or bust for Ohio State. The pressure is there. Now, on the other side of the coin, Oregon changed over from Bo Nix, which obviously was a high-powered offense. They bring in Dylan Gabriel, changed the offense completely. Looked a little weird at first, but they seem to have picked some things up. So this is a very talented football team. But the thing about Oregon, to me, at least historically, they've never been seen as a tough program. Would you agree?
Yeah, they've always been that, I think it was established a lot of finesse, fast, like, going to run a bajillion plays on offense. And definitely not a prototypical Big Ten program.
No. And so that's why I think you're going to get some like styles clashing here. And that's what's going to make for an intriguing matchup. But whoever wins this game is going to have a great path forward to the Big Ten title game. Now, you should know, Ohio State is a 3-point favorite in this game. So it's a close game, but Ohio State's still getting the nod despite the travel and despite, playing the number 3 team in the country.
We've kicked this around before, but I just want to ask it right now, where we at, like week 6 or whatever.
Yes.
If Ohio State loses to Michigan, with what we know right now today about both programs,
I know what you're
if Ohio State loses to Michigan,
he's fired.
Is Ryan Day in trouble?
He's fired. Like, there's no way. Like, you can't lose to this year's Michigan team. He gets a pass last year because Michigan ends up not only making the playoff, but winning the national championship, I feel. But this year, with the amount of money that you have paid for the players, the coaching, everything, if you lose to Michigan, you're going to have to win the national championship because he's fired. Like, I'm sorry, but Ryan Day is fired if he loses to this Michigan team, and he deserves it because that'll be 4 losses in a row to Michigan, and not all of them to Jim Harbaugh.
Right. Right. Yeah. A loss to Sherrone Moore.
I'm sorry.
Don't think. I mean, Sherrone Moore may turn out to be a great college head football coach, and he may lead Michigan to a dynasty. I'm not trying to take anything away from the guy, but yeah, that's not one Ryan Day can afford to have on the list at this point in time.
Oh, he's fired. Like, he's so fired. I'm sorry. He's fired. Like, and I may be completely wrong because they may lose that game, win the national championship, but he is fired. Like, especially if it's second. Like, if they lose this game and then lose, fired. Like, he doesn't even get to come back. He's not coaching a bowl game. They're firing him because they're in it to win it, man. Like, Ohio State needs this, and they'll bring back the dead corpse of Urban Meyer if they have to.
Yeah. I don't know, like, do you think that I know people say like Ohio State's like an SEC team in the North, you know, they operate like an SEC program.
Possibly.
I don't know. Do you think that they are like, that they're on that same level of like crazy? I mean, like Kirby Smart was getting death threats and shit after they lost Alabama. I mean, those people are unhinged. Do you think that it's on that level?
What do they have to do in Columbus? Like, what are you doing up there? You're not.
Have you heard like the kids slang that they refer to, like they use the word Ohio as like an adjective to describe something that's terrible.